is She Transacts, and today we are super excited to have with us the two co-founders of OwnTrail, Rebekah and Katie. So Rebekah and Katie, thank you so much for coming on today and saying hello to all our female founders at She Transacts.
For having us.
You're so welcome. Why did you guys create OwnTrail? How did this all start?
The way it started was actually, so I've been at Zillow for 15 years in a couple of different executive roles, but I wrote a book called Blaze Your Own Trail. And the book is this interactive, choose your own adventure style exploration into the different decisions and pathways that women take through their personal and professional lives. Really trying to, help embrace the idea that there is no one right path, which I know is something that so many women feel like there is, that they're supposed to be on this linear path and that it's supposed to be kind of clean and predictable in a way that it never is. So really trying to experientially build confidence around the non-linear paths that our lives take, and create a sense of solidarity around the experiences that we share, especially the ones that don't get talked about as much. And so I started working on what I thought would be a really cool book launch website after I'd signed with my publisher. And that just really took on a life of its own pretty quickly, which is what became OwnTrail. I just realized that a lot of the problems that I was trying to solve in a kind of finite way through the different stories in the book, that there's all these, basically the infinite examples of paths that women take through their lives. And once we see those and we see all the different ways that women have gotten to and from different experiences in their lives, and we see people who share our same identities and experiences in the places that we aspire to, it really opens up a lot of confidence and bravery to really go after our aspirations, and for women to really be able to lift themselves and each other up through the sharing of their life paths. So OwnTrail is the peer-to-peer support system for women, and it's structured by these trails, these life paths that women share, and they're incredibly authentic. This is information about their lives that you wouldn't see on their resume or LinkedIn, or you wouldn't see on the kind of perfect pictures that they're sharing on social media, but it's really the experiences that make them who they are. And so, really early on, I met Katie actually right when I was launching this, and realized that she was just the piece of the puzzle that was missing as we were building out this vision. And she just kind of got it and took it to the next level, both in terms of the impact we could have and the way that we could build this company really in a value-driven way. And so we became co-founders, and it's been a really exciting journey.
Oh my gosh, it's such a great journey. And I know it's only begun, it's already so awesome, and your book and everything. I definitely encourage all the founders. We'll make sure that this is in the resources so they can go read the book, because I think it's such a critical thing that we all are able to be really authentic, to share our truths. And it is brave. So how has working with fellow founders been critical to your success with OwnTrail? Especially through the fundraising process, since that's what so many of our founders are focusing on right now.
I think while being co-founders has been such a wealth of support and knowledge, and we have each other to lean on, the value of having other founders who aren't as close to your business, but who can still relate to the highs and lows that go through building a company, and especially the fundraising process, is really valuable. It's certainly practical things like getting warm intros, getting insights and feedback on potential investors, right? Making sure that we're also doing our due diligence in interviewing potential investors, and it's not just hoping to be picked. There's those practical things that I think come immediately to mind when thinking about working with other founders. We certainly appreciate those and benefited greatly from giving and receiving those. And Rebekah can dive into the fundraising piece. Another thing that I think is possibly less spotlit is the emotional and mental support. Fundraising is a very lonely experience, even if you have a co-founder, even if you have a team. So definitely having people who are essentially like in the same cohort as you, even if you're not in a formal program, but who can be your support as you're navigating a lot of no's. But also it sets the tone for potential partnerships across lots of different areas. So this idea of really being able to build kind of your own board separate from your company board, separate from your advisors, but really your board as a founder, and planting those seeds of community that are so important to any part of any ecosystem, especially on the entrepreneur path. And Rebekah, I know that you had your kind of like coven of female founders that you were on a group text with. That I know that gave you all a lot of insight and support, and like really practical information for getting those checks.
Yeah, absolutely. It's I think, you know, it's the solidarity, and, you know, on OwnTrail, we talk about the importance of solidarity, where, you know, women are sharing things around mental health and around loss and grieving, or around fertility, or around, you know, workplace harassment, and like these things that don't get talked about as much, but are actually like really common shared experiences, and knowing that you're not alone in them is so important. And I would say fundraising as a woman founder, as we're building a mission-driven company centered on women, is also a little bit of a lonely place. and solidarity, you know, I think that analogous solidarity comes into play there, and it's so important. And yeah, like the other women that were fundraising at the same time as me, and just being able to, you know, ask a question: is this you know, am I getting screwed over here, or like, what's your perspective on this? Or, you know, like Katie said, founders talk too, and we, you know, it's definitely a two-way decision in terms of who you bring onto your cap table. And so there are many times I reached out to different women founders who I knew had worked with or talked with certain investors, just to do kind of a background check there as well, and make sure that, you know, we're getting into the right relationships there with people that can really support us as we grow in this really value-driven way. And even, you know, we've been kind of coining a term and talking more broadly about this idea of authentic, which is a way of building tech companies where we don't commoditize people, and we create authentic community really at the core of what we're building. And there's been a whole community of founders there. We have over 50 companies now that have identified with that. And we have a Slack channel of founders who are supporting each other through fundraising and just, you know, kind of all parts of the entrepreneurial journey. And I think that having those groups of support and solidarity and connection is just so huge. You know, everyone who has started a company, I'm sure, will agree about the roller coaster that is entrepreneurial life. And I think it comes down to the community and the support systems that get you through that.
And as founders are hearing you guys, I'm sure they've got like a million questions and ideas. What are some of the ways that we as founders can start turning our stories into action with you at OwnTrail?
Yeah, I think the first one is probably the easiest one, and that's sharing your story on OwnTrail. So adding your trail to OwnTrail as a way to really own it for yourself, and as a way to pay it forward, so other women, other founders can see what your journey looked like, and they can see that there's no right way to, through, and from entrepreneurship. I think that's a really powerful way to give to yourself and to give to others.
You guys have had such an exciting recent close of a round. So I'd love to hear or have you share maybe a little bit about your successes, or specifically a difficult story that could help a founder who might be going through a similar fundraising challenge, and how you got through it.
Yeah, well, we just closed our pre-seed round. We raised $635,000 for that. And yeah, I mean, so like the good news is we closed it, and we ended up with 100% value add, mission aligned investors that we just adore. So we were really lucky, and we ended up with a really diverse cap table. We had 67% of our investors are women, and 48% are people of color. And that was really important to us to create that diversity, both because, you know, obviously we want, we have a very diverse member base on OwnTrail, and we really want our investors to be reflective of that. But also, we really wanted to change a lot of the cycles of wealth that get propagated through early stage investing, because it's, you know, it's pretty homogenous right now, and you see a lot of the people, the same people making more and more money, and it's not really changing the landscape as much. So that was important to us. So in those senses, it was a really successful fundraise. It was exhausting. It was, you know, I shared on a LinkedIn post a picture of my Google sheet that has 285 rows of investors that I was in different stages, from everything from like cold outreach and never hearing back, to multiple meetings and never hearing back to maybe next round to the 20 that ended up investing in us. And it was extremely time consuming, but I think embracing the fact that it's a numbers game is important because you're not for everyone. And especially when you're really building a mission-driven company, like it's not everyone's gonna get it, and that's okay. Like you want to filter out the people that don't get it. You want to filter out the people that aren't going to support you growing in the way that you need to grow. But it just means that it's time consuming, and that's where having that community of support, everyone from my co-founder to other founders that support me to like larger community, that's huge. And so I think embracing that and just knowing that it can get really discouraging, and there's a lot of people who and you'll get a lot of conflicting advice. Everyone thinks they know the truth about kind of how you should be growing your company, how you should be fundraising, how you should be talking about this, your business model, everything. And if you were to actually like run with all the advice you heard, you'd just be running in circles. And so it's really an art of knowing what to, what to take, what to leave, creating space for all of that to exist and not getting too distracted by it. While still, there's still some gems in there that are going to be really good feedback. So yeah, I could talk all day about the experience. It's intense, and I'm like, this is only our pre-seed. I'm going to be out there.
It's just the beginning. Well, it helps to share, and I think it's changing so much too, because post-COVID, it's very different, and being able to really stay true to your values, your mission, the fact that you did that, I think you guys beyond exceeded. There's just hitting the number and getting it done, which is like one level of success, but I think you guys exemplify the other side, which is too often overlooked. I think it almost should be number one, which is you have a diverse cap table of aligned investors. Like that is the holy grail. So you guys are doing it right and staying true to yourself and just rooting us on to do the same, because it does make you doubt yourself when you get different feedback or different input or conflicting information. It can really be hard on you personally and professionally, as you go out for the next meeting. So thank you for sharing that and letting us know it wasn't just all like great investor talks and meetings.
Yep, you got it.
I don't think it is for anyone. And I think the more we normalize the prevalence of no, and that's okay. Every no is one step closer to your yes, and finding your right yes, right? Because it's about more than a check. Yes, you want capital to grow your business. And also some of those checks, and sometimes a lot of times if you're thinking about diversifying your cap table, a smaller check actually is worth its like 10x because of the value, the alignment, the support, that introductions, that the ideas that come with it. So I think fundraising has been viewed a lot of times as a means to an end, get cash to grow my business. When in reality, yes, the money is a part of it, but what else are you getting and giving? And if you're really looking at it holistically that way, you can be successful, not just in raising money, but in really gaining access, tools, and knowledge that you couldn't have gotten any other way.
Maybe you could share just a little bit or give us a pep talk.
Ooh, yes, on the spot, an impromptu pep talk. Well, I do think that there is, to your point, like in the fundraising experience, there's a lot of blows to your confidence, especially if you're building something that's mission and values aligned, that you truly care about as a person, not just trying to build a really profitable business. And I would tell all the founders that are struggling with that right now, it's okay to feel it. It's okay to feel that it sucks to be told no sometimes. Like, you can have that be true, and the fact that you're going to be successful and to get those yeses, and that this no won't matter in hindsight. You can also feel like it sucks right now. Both things can be true, and hold space for yourself as a person, right? Like the less you treat yourself as a person, how are you going to show up fully in those meetings? And to take care of yourself, handle it with grace. Extend the grace you're giving the investors and our team, the grace you give yourself. That you aren't failing by getting a no, you just got us one step closer. And it is a numbers game. So look at those numbers and know that you're just doing the hard work of getting to that yes. You've already made the progress. So if you look and you've got that big red column, you've already done all of those no's. You don't have to do them again. They're done. Yeah. They're no's for now. You can go back and turn them into yeses next round. Keep moving forward, because if you keep picking yourself apart, you're also doing what you feel like those investors are doing. Don't be your own critic when you're being scrutinized by other people.
see how helpful she is? I just,
Oh my gosh, Rebekah, you guys are
before every time I hit a stumbling block.
No, we're so thrilled and can't wait to help you guys on the next round any way we can. Our group, really connecting our female founders with OwnTrail, so you can get involved with OwnTrail. You can start by paying it forward for other founders. This is why we're here. We don't interview everybody. We don't need everybody out there. We're being picky just like you guys. We want to have an ecosystem that understands the value of mission-driven companies that are leading their lives with her, which is humanity, empathy, and responsibility. And they're out there. Like we are all examples of the tribe exists. We thank you so much for sharing all that amazing inspiration, pep talk, everything about what it's really like. And congratulations to have successfully raised. And I know you guys are already on to the next exciting thing. So we'll probably have you back again to talk about those in the future as well.
We'd love to. Thanks for having us.